All right, let's get right into it. We're going to talk about how to kill your darlings. This is the playbook that the best product teams use to cut through all the noise and ship features that actually make a difference. This is how you go from a wall covered in sticky notes to one single bet that's actually worth making. This right here, this is the absolute truth. The real bottleneck isn't a lack of creativity. It's a lack of conviction. It's having the guts to look at 99 perfectly good ideas and confidently say, not right now, so you can make space for that one great idea. Oh, you know exactly the meeting I'm talking about. The energy's high, everyone feels super productive, the sticky notes are everywhere. But then you walk out of the room and you've got no clear decision, no idea what the next step is, and just this sinking feeling about the follow-up meeting. Yeah, we've all been there. I was once in a 3-hour workshop, okay? We generated 46 different ideas for a new dashboard. 46! And we left with all of them still on the table. The result? Total paralysis. We call this roadmap bloat, and it's where good products go to die a really slow, painful death. So let's talk about why this actually happened.
So what is the root cause here? I promise you, it's not that people aren't smart enough. It's a fundamental failure to separate two completely different and equally critical ways of thinking.
So on one hand, you've got divergence. This is the fun part, the yes and phase. You go wide, you generate tons of ideas, and, this is key, there is zero judgment. It's all about quantity. But then you have convergence. This is where you have to put on your editor's hat. It's about making really hard choices, applying criteria, and homing in on quality. Now here's the pro move. The best teams never do these in the same meeting. They actually schedule them on different days so their brains can fully switch from creative mode to critical mode. And all that hard work of converging, it really only has one goal: to define a single, elegant user flow. This is that perfect path you want your user to take to solve their problem. Because without convergence, you don't have a user flow. You have a user maze where every shiny idea just becomes another dead end. Okay, so how do we actually force these tough decisions? Well, you need the right toolkit. So let's look at the practical, no-nonsense frameworks that the pros use to kill arguments, take ego out of the equation, and get to clarity fast. First up is dot voting. Think of this as your quick and dirty 15-minute gut check. It's amazingly effective at breaking that groupthink mentality, where everyone just kind of nods along with the most senior person in the room. It's super simple. You give everyone a few dots, let's say 3, and they vote silently on the ideas they think are the strongest. But here's the pro tip, and please do not skip this. You absolutely must write the success criterion on the wall before a single dot is placed. Are we voting for the idea that most reduces support tickets, or the one that drives the most new signups? If you don't define that first, you're not making a strategic decision, you're just running a popularity contest.
All right, next up in the toolkit, the impact versus effort matrix. This is my favorite, because this is how you stop all the subjective arguments and you just replace them with objective math. It's probably the single best way to end a debate. So you plot every single idea on a simple 2x2 grid. But to make this thing really powerful, you have to get specific. High impact shouldn't just be a feeling, it should have a potential dollar value attached to it. Effort shouldn't be a vague guess, it should be an estimate in engineering weeks. When you do that, you're replacing opinion with actual data, and it becomes crystal clear which ideas give you the most bang for your buck.
This forces every idea into one of 4 buckets. Quick wins. Those are your no-brainers, you should do those right now. Major projects are your big strategic bets. They're going to need careful planning. Fill-ins are nice-to-haves. You can tackle them when you have some downtime. And time sinks, these are the ideas you kill immediately. This matrix makes it brutally obvious where you need to focus your energy. And now for what I think is the most critical tool of all, assumption mapping. See, this isn't about prioritizing features. This is about de-risking your entire product. This is how you find those hidden, unproven beliefs that are most likely to blow up in your face later.
So you map out all your assumptions on another 2x2 grid. For each one, you ask 2 simple questions. How confident are we that this is true? And how bad is it if we're wrong? Anything that lands in that bottom right quadrant, high risk and unknown, that's your danger zone. I heard the story about Figma. They famously used this to realize a whole idea for a new developer tool was based on a totally false assumption. A quick test proved them wrong. They killed the project and saved 6 weeks of development time. That's huge.
But here's the thing. You can have the best frameworks in the world, and they will still fail if the team's mindset is wrong. You can have all the matrices you want, but you also have to tackle the psychological stuff, the ego that gets in the way.
Yeah, we've got to watch out for our own biases. There's ownership bias, that feeling that makes us super defensive of our own ideas. There's the sunk cost fallacy, which tricks us into thinking we should keep going on a bad idea just because we've already invested time in it. And there's aesthetic bias, which makes us fall in love with the prettiest mock-up, even if the idea behind it is weak. Look, having a senior mindset means you're paid to find the best answer, not to be the person who happened to draw it.
And that right there brings us to the single most important mindset shift you can possibly make. This is everything. Because when you're truly in love with the problem, killing one of your solutions doesn't feel painful. It's just editing. It's a necessary step on the path to finding what really, truly works. So once an idea has survived this whole gauntlet of frameworks and ego checks, what's next? You don't just jump into writing a spec and building it. No. You turn it from a vague idea into a sharp, testable hypothesis. Just use this simple template. It forces you to be crystal clear about who you're building for and what you actually expect to happen. This isn't just a sentence. It's a contract. It's an agreement between design, product, and engineering. It's the bridge that takes you from just talking to having a concrete plan. And here's that template in action. I mean, look how clear this is. We know the exact feature, we know the user, sellers, and we have a measurable outcome. Now the team isn't just building a feature. They're running an experiment to see if they can reduce support tickets by 15%. It's a totally different ballgame.
So when you walk away from this, what are the key things to remember? Ask your team, first, are we separating our creative time from our critical thinking time? Second, are we using frameworks to make our decisions objective? Third, are we actually mapping out our riskiest assumptions before we start building? And maybe most informed of all, are we obsessing over the user's problem, not our own cool solutions?
So I'll leave you with this final thought. Killing ideas, it isn't about failure, it's about focus. It's the single most powerful thing your team can do to actually move faster. So take a look at your roadmap right now. What's one thing sitting on there that you know needs to go to make